911 emergency. How can I help you?
So tonight, the new and difficult images just now emerging from Hawaii.
The flames are going on our car. The whole roof is on fire.
The entire city, yes. Just get out of Lahaina.
How strong the winds were.
First of all, I do know this whole community is suffering.
We're all in some phase of mourning for what has happened.
You gotta find some way to get to the ocean.
100 people perished. Over 2,200 structures destroyed. Over 2,000 acres burned.
Traffic is completely stuck and people are gonna die here.
I don't know, sir. I just know that our entire island is burning from the east to the west.
Kuleana, e ho'alaho'ana o Lahaina. Lahaina will be resurrected.
Units, all units, we gotta get out of the center of this fire.
The fear, the desperation, the haunting images that we'll never forget.
The fire's starting to die.
Our island community was forever changed that day on August 8th.
People lost everything. Homes, jobs, their cars, some their pets. There's still people missing. I fought wildfires in California, and I was here yesterday when it flared up. I've never seen something ravage so fast.
You're basically shooting our burning house right through the camera lines right there. Way by far, yeah, beyond any tsunamis or any other tropical storms that have come through. Just, yeah, by 100 times. COVID, everything, for our small town at least. Yeah.
This is our first time coming back and like actually knowing that our house burned down. We haven't really known anything for the last couple of days. We're getting bits from car radio, but nobody really knows until they can make it in here whether their houses are standing or not.
And I jumped through that window and rolled out on the cinders, and I looked back and the whole house was on fire and smoke and flames came out the window I just jumped out of. Seconds more, I'd have been dead, just in seconds.
And this is going to go on for a while. This is going to take years to recover.
Oh my gosh, look at the harbor.
While there are still many unanswered questions, there's one that's on everyone's mind. Where do we go from here? Not just as a community, but as an entire state. The rebuilding of Lahaina isn't just structures, it's what's inside of us as a people. It will define our legacy, how all of our cultures that make Hawaii our home can come together and heal for our future generations. What we do now will have a direct impact on us, our keiki, and for generations to come.
The term hulihia, which is, there's always a chance to new birth of something even better. And I think that's what can emerge, but it has to be from the people's perspective, the people that have been impacted, the generational ties that they have to this place, all needs to be factored in what that future will look like. We're starting to hear that now emerge, starting to hear, how they see this as a moment of reset, a moment where there's only one chance to do this right.
I don't say this loosely, and that would be very important to provide clarity, is that it is definitely a kako thing. When I think about it, when I went to college, I learned the Hawaiian language through a simple form called the po'o piko ave, right? So the po'o, and it's likened to a he'e, right? And so when I think about the rebuild, I think about the vision that is made clear. When we have a vision of what that would look like, well, our yes will be clear, and our no's will be even much clearer. And in the he'e, in the po'o, you have all this ave. You have all this ave, which is a representation of our kaiaulu, right? So you have our kupuna, who absolutely we don't forget. But those kupuna have all of the momi. They have all of the knowledge that we need. That's part of an ave. And then you have our makua, our parents, You have different ike that come from different ahupua'a, different land divisions. But every ave is needed in this kaiaulu, right? And so what is it gonna take to rebuild? Kako. It's gonna take the entire he'e. Every ave of the he'e.
When we talk about the vision of rebuilding this community, I see moku'ula. I see all the Hawaiian historical sites being put as tools of knowledge for everyone that visits this place, so that we can have a greater understanding of how we need to take care of our place. It's connection, it's connectivity. We've lost that. Almost. We're hanging on.
A community center that is led by and for Kanaka Maoli, but also inclusive of all of our ethnicities and multi-denominations would be invaluable and ultimately needed. We don't actually have any Hawaiian community centers, which is an incredible disservice, really, and disrespect to our Hawaiian and our Kanaka Maoli community.
The stream was dry at one time. The water never did reach the ocean. And then today, the stream run, you know? It's a big difference. And I seen like what the water brings with it to all the life, the plants, everything that live up above come down with the water and they sprout up down here too, you know?
Water is the source of life. And for West Maui, it is critical. Our ancestors called it Lahaina for a reason. The cruel sun. The mistakes that were made date back to the early days of sugar plantations, where taro patches and other indigenous foods flourished. Sugar took over. For decades, it was the economic engine, but as sugar slowly declined, once fertile lands dried up, native plants did not return until now.
If we did the right things for the right reason and put water in the right places, that we wouldn't be in this situation. It's not the different things we do, but it's the heart in which we do. So if the heart is in the right place for the right reasons, supply and provision, it'll chase you down as a town. And we recognize that. If things were different, and if you put the water in the right places for the right reasons, generations will come to have that same experience, maybe a little bit different, maybe just a little bit different, but they'll understand that it doesn't have to be brown.
Lahaina, of course we all know it's been called the Venice of the Pacific. It used to be extremely lush and fertile. Since the plantation era came in, they had diverted all of the stream waters to feed their plantation. So all of the kalo farms that were existing had gone dry. All of the streams which the native life were in, the o'opu, opai, hihivai, all died. The land just wasn't as fertile. It wasn't the same ecosystem that God made it to be. Now it was man-made. That would be, to me, the beginning of like a water crisis, basically. And that was our chance to fight to get the stream back. They started to see the native stream life coming back as well. So the o'opu and the opai started thriving in the stream again. But that, of course, requires full connectivity.
When you're multi-generational from Lahaina, you know and understand things in a way that most don't. And part of that is you don't understand what you don't know. I do know this, is when we fought for the water and the water came back, what we saw was far above and beyond most of our imaginations. Aquifers began to fill up. Our marine life, both Mauka and Makai came back. And so these are the things that create and maintain balance.
My family, friends, and all of us is from this place. And one thing in particular, if I could just have that one win, it would be get back to water, really. Lahaina used to be green way back then, yeah. There used to be 36 rivers that used to flow all across West Maui. Only 2 of them is flowing now. The mountains right up here is known to be like the top 5 rainiest places in the world. And a lot of times we're in a drought where we can't even wash our car.
Understand that we as Kanaka, whether it's Kanaka Maoli, Kanaka Haole, Kanaka Apau, it's a direct reflection of our health and our wellness. And then when we really get into the science and the understanding of it, just looking at simply the hydrological cycle and the need for our specific endemic plants to be able to reestablish our hydrological cycle, to be able to create water and vie and be able to capture that and regenerate our aquifers and our streams for no other reason than for our future generations.
Remember, it's like this is what it was like at one time. This is original state. So we're just putting back what they left for us.
Yeah.
Like the stones is still left for us. The walls may have fallen down, but it's right there. All you gotta do is pick that thing up, stack them back on there, and throw that there, and it's ready to go. So they actually did the hard work way back then, you know.
I just always felt pili to this area. I just felt connected here. And being in the same ahupua'a, we're all connected anyway. Things are so different once you come onto this aina. It feels very ancient, very old.
This was on desert, dry, you know, it was dry, never had water down here. But when the water did arrive, it was cool to watch everything sprout and come back, you know, and see them come back to life. That is like the reward, is looking back and seeing all that, you know, like the accomplishments.
Yeah, it's
but
huge.
It's just the beginning, get more to come, you know. But it was a long fight, unreal.
Yeah.
We get water today.
The Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement shifted their annual conference to Maui this year. After the devastating fires, CNHA felt that it was their Kuleana to help bring healing, understanding, and hope to the island of Maui.
I think it's really important that this community gets a say in the future of Maui, and that's why we've brought our convention here. It's a chance for us to kako'o them, to uplift that voice so that they can take part in the future of Lahaina.
So when we work with partners like CNHA and Hawaii Community Foundation, they know our goals are how can we keep Maui people on Maui? What can we do? Whether it's creating jobs, having a land trust for people who are wondering what to do with their properties, whether it's rebuilding somewhere close, building somewhere else. And this is all on top of the issues, and you talked about long-term issues of water and infrastructure.
Our vision of Lahaina is to be inclusive, to be knowledgeable about the history, which will and has played an important role in the rebuild of Lahaina. And when I say this, I talk about the old history, the history that has almost been buried. My grandfather came and he gave me scoldings. That's not the real Lahaina. You need to talk about the real history of Lahaina. I never understood what he was saying until he passed away, and then I got it. The real history of Lahaina was Moku'ula.
Thank you. It does take all of us Some will lead from the front, some lead from the side, some lead from the back. But the biggest part that we're learning through this process of rebuild is that as much as there is a stance on one end, the stance should also be equal in encouragement, right? And that comes from our halepule, that comes from our different bodies that love God and love people. That comes from our kumu that are in the classroom. That come from our makua that help to set up, set down, all kinds of things.
Government, community, they don't even talk to each other sometimes. So this is building bridges. This convening is bringing community organizations, decision makers together to figure out how they can identify solutions for the future. And there's lack of opportunities for community to engage these leaders, but they can do it here.
I think it always starts with taking care of self, taking care of ohana, and then to malama your greater ohana. And I think in a lot of ways, it really starts with our aina and doing whatever we need to do from the public, private, community sectors to really integrate our efforts to regenerate our aina and restore our Mauka to Muliwai to Makai stream flow, to bring back our endemic ecology and reestablish really what is the foundation of our entire existence here as people, which is our aina.
First of all, I do know this whole community is suffering. We lived through the immediate suffering, the visual suffering. Now we're dealing with the emotional issues.
As Hawaiians and our traditions, nature is what gives us our answers. And it was a call for us that said they accepted this memorial. And I hope the community will too, and come and also add to the memorial. Put a face to the names so people don't forget.
It's going to be a long one, and definitely there's mental health needs that need to happen now. It's very difficult to focus on and understand what that looks like for us. There's not much communication out there about the real magnitude of what we experience in Lahaina.
The health and wellness. And so we wrestle with those things every day. I know my family does, my kids do.
I'm waiting for the guy to come with the information, and then that way we'll move it.
But being strong at home, being a rock, being some place of comfort that they can come home to, I see as important. I see that super important for the structure, the foundation of my family.
What we don't want is for those voices to be drowned out or to not be heard as decisions are being made.
It would be, I think, a great initial effort to transitioning our Kanaka Maoli community and our Hawaiian ohana and our greater ohana here in Lahaina and in Maui and all of Hawaii to a place of healing and joy and pono.
Communities were devastated. Families were shattered. Finding long-term solutions to prevent this from happening again will involve everyone. Hawaiian, Filipino, Japanese cultures and values are interwoven into the fabric of Lahaina life. It will take not just one, but everyone.
Our vision of Lahaina is to be inclusive, to be knowledgeable about the history. If we don't include the Hawaiian values in this community will not survive. We're hanging on by a thread. That thread is connected to a rope. That rope is connected to the sail. When we can reach that rope and sheet in that sail, we'll move forward. Everybody needs to be on this canoe.
Uncle Keamoku Kapu shared earlier, Lahaina and Moku'ula, those were the center of our Hawaiian kingdom, and in a lot of ways still very much is. So this is the time, now is the time to resurrect and regenerate and empower our community, ultimately to be the leads of our entire nation, ultimately.
Lahaina is home, and it's so special to be from here because there's so much rich history. We're a very tight community. Everybody knows each other here. We all grew up together. It's a very tight, special community here, and it's gotten even stronger and tighter since the fire. And we're seeing that we're moving mountains with that togetherness.
I've always called this home. No matter how far I've been away from this place, it always draws me back to it.
Give them the opportunity to lead this community because they know this community the best.
Day by day, things are changing, and just trying to get in front of things as much as we can. Number one, first and foremost, when it comes to rebuilding Lahaina and doing all of those future plans, what we need is to make sure the community is the one building Lahaina, that the community has the say, that we are included in all these meetings that are closed-door meetings and whatnot.
There's no number one issue or number one agenda that I would vouch for, but kind of the underlying denominator through everything that I want to see happen is community-led. Historically, we have managed this place excellently. Our ancestors, through land divisions, Ahupua'a, Mauka we manage this place excellently. People like to tout Aloha spirit and say, oh, where's the Aloha? Aloha is born out of all of our people being cared for and being taken care for, all necessities being met, and being able to just live comfortably and stable and being involved and a part of a community that reciprocates that Aloha back to you.
For the rebuild, I really, really hope that we have a big part in how it goes. You know, I want our voices to be heard. I really want to see our people be the foundation of the town's rebuild. I want to see it be done right, to honor the people and the families of Lahaina, especially those that have passed. The history and the culture here, which is the real mea nui, the main thing here.
Through all of this, it's hard, yeah, because when you drive through Lahaina town, especially at nighttime, you don't see those lights or anything, it breaks your heart. Unfortunately, we have a clean slate to work with. There's a lot of things, even how the town used to be, that could have been better. So while we have this opportunity to do all the things we've all been wishing this whole time, we gotta continue to act, to show up, to be there, to be present, and fight for what is right for the people, for this land, for this place. And a lot of us are willing to die for our place. I'm only 28 years old, but I'm willing to put my life on the line if it means to do the right thing.
Our state, our people are at a cultural crossroads. The reopening of West Maui to tourism sparks feelings, positive and negative, in everyone. Can we do this in a way that works with us, for us, and not against us? Many who lost everything are afraid that they will have nowhere to go. They cannot afford to rebuild. Again, where do we go from here?
Our Lahaina Ohana was actually the ones who taught me about how land was essentially acquired was through our ali'i granting you aina because of how abundant and how momona the aina that you took care of in your Kuleana was. If you go far enough back into all of our people's histories, at one point in time, your kupuna, your ancestors had to farm. They had to grow their own food. They had to malama and take care and give aloha to the ecosystem that provided them those sacred sources of life that are needed to survive and thrive and to be resilient. To me, it's in a lot of ways, it's utilizing our modern technologies that we have today, but also having our decisions and our actions, our behaviors, our systems rooted in our ancestral sciences and technologies that do prioritize our endemic ecology and our aina over capitalism.
And I hope to see no eminent domain, no condemnation to anybody's lands, especially those that have been here for generations since the kingdom days. There are people that still have their lots in Lahaina town. And I've heard people throw those words around like it's, oh, well, just eminent domain, this whole area. No, that will never be accepted, and that's not gonna be something that ever goes down well. So I really hope that none of that will happen to our people.
I was raised in this town.
I understand. We're looking at people need to find closure before we start to continue where we're going in the next direction. And one of those things is right now is immediate to make sure that we can provide for our community because everything is in shambles.
A lot of the stuff that I used to do was kind of revolving around tourism and the industry itself. And I'm just not ready to go back to that, not anytime soon. My entire future is this, what we're doing here, because the town itself, we're not going to be able to build and do all that for years to come, and this is a very long stretch. It's a marathon, not a sprint, so trying to get the message out there is this is what we need. Throughout this entire disaster, I wasn't watching the news or any of that kind of stuff because I was living it.
I was born and raised in Lahaina. I live in Kula now. So my family and I found long-term housing up in Kula. It's about an hour and a half one way from my old place in Lahaina. But it's stable housing, so we're very grateful for that. And that is why I feel almost guilty that I was able to find long-term housing. After the fire is just like many other community members and people from this place, we just poured everything we had into helping and relief and support.
We have so many residents staying in hotels over here that don't have a kitchen, that don't have enough space, 6 people living in one studio. And there's over 2,000 short-term rentals available that can give those families some space to start grieving, to have a kitchen, to get on with their lives.
We just got a call this morning at 10 o'clock that we have to be out by 4 o'clock. Came down to the front desk just to kind of see if we'll be moved on property or if we're going to be moved to the other side of the island. Just could get an advance notice so we can prepare to move our families. It just feels, uncertain of where we're going to be, if we're going to get a call. I feel overwhelmed. Nobody likes to talk about anxiety or depression, but real, it's happening.
Really feel that right now we're missing the whole point as far as what Maui, what Lahaina is, by just selling it out so cheap. There should be supply and demand control. So as far as just letting everybody flock here on cheap tickets and kicking the locals out, that's not the way to go. We gotta take care of our people that are here, that are from here, that are displaced. Really take care of them and show people that are not from here that is the main point, is you take care of the people, the local people here. We don't need another plastic Waikiki, no offense. We want real roots and culture, and I think that the tourists will actually appreciate that. That there's richness, there's something real here, and it's not just to be sold, it's to be appreciated and valued. And I hope that our politicians can see that too. And let the Hawaiians that are here, that are from here, do it. We're not gonna, having somebody else from outside that thinks they know, we know too. And we have our ways. And we know this place and what can handle here and how to do it right here. So I think that that's how it should be done.
As state leaders grapple with recovery efforts that will take years, many in our community express concerns on how they move on with their lives.
You know what I really want people to get is hope. Because that's such a intangible thing to describe. Because I think when people lose hope, they don't want to engage. So if we can provide hope to our citizens to let them know help is on the way, help is being planned.
Finding ways to insert ourselves in government. And I'm talking about the county. You know, I'm talking about our mayor who is Kanaka just like us. And not asking all the whys, but say, hey, mayor, where you want us?
I think people have to have trust in government. They have to have faith that we know what we're doing, where we're going. Bringing our resources together comes from the federal government, the state government.
I want you to know, on behalf of the United States of America, all the nation, the American people stand with you.
Our endemic ecology is ultimately significantly more important than our economy because no matter how much money our economic system can make, it's not going to be able to produce clouds that produce rain, that produce vi, that is fundamental to life.
An understanding of connection.
Well, as we told you before, the community is coming together to help the families that were displaced by the Lahaina fire.
We just said, you know what, we got to do what we got to do to stand this place up. One of the things that we're really fortunate is majority of the homes in Hawaiian homes made it.
I have these 4 children that look at me every day and say, Mom, give it one more shot. One more shot to make this right.
Put a crew together and we came by ocean to get to Lahaina. And what I saw was not recognizable. I felt like I had to be strong. As I heard everyone crying, I tried not to cry, but shed tears.
Of course, our biggest thing now is housing. We can talk about work and we can talk about, you know, other economy and stuff, but if we don't have places for people to live and to stay, then they don't get to the next step. I think our main goal is that anybody who is from Maui, that wants to stay on Maui, be able to stay here.
Cannot do anything. We never say nothing. Nothing at all. The only clothes that I have is my uniform.
But what happens after this and what happens next? We're all watching. The world is watching.
And that's an impossible situation to decide what is the priority. But I think what will always have the edge of prioritization is Aina, ultimately to develop resilient communities, to positively affect climate change, to create security in self and Ohana and greater Ohana, and to find peace in our Na'au and our Mana'o and physically as well in our Kino. It's through reestablishing that pilina with Aina.
So we're coming up on the parking lot where it's full of cars at night. People are sleeping in their cars.
Lahaina that I know, the landmarks from the ocean that I know, were no longer visible. From that point on, the way I viewed it, it was a battle. We were in war. We were in a time of devastation. We were in a time of people not knowing what to do, and the only way to do that was take control. Remembrance of what that was like was just like being prepared to ride the ultimate biggest wave. You don't know if you're coming back, but you're 100% in, you're 100% focused, and you're doing what you need to do to make sure you stay away from the most dangerous situation. Our community was vulnerable at that time. They needed help, they were lost, and it was a way for everyone to begin to stand back up. And that's the way I looked at it. That's the way we dealt with it. And it was about providing resource, providing inventory, providing supplies to the immediate community. That was the goal.
Today, we did an we did ceremony in prayer for all of our ohana on the island of Maui that are moving through the stages of recovery and rebuilding their homes, their lives. We're all in some phase of mourning for what has happened. We gathered here to show our support, to offer our aloha in the most powerful way we can, and that's through prayer and through pule.
E ho mai ka mana. Na au ma kua mai kala hiki a kala kau.
We have to acknowledge the healing that needs to go on, and we need to make space for that. We need to make time for the actual healing to occur. And that has to occur at all levels of our society here in Hawaii. Has to go through these stages of healing, and then we can start to rebuild. And so the first step is pule, is prayer.
In my opinion, I think if there's one thing I would kind of like to put out there to the world is we have a lot of hope right now. There's a lot to fight for. It's going to take time, but we can do it.
We're not doing this out of hate. Everybody, all these signs, all these people over here are just doing all of this out of aloha, out of love.
And so if I could say anything, it's just take action, be a part of your community and fight now fight proactively rather than reactively.
We have an economy focused around tourism, and this truly is a chance for us to start off with a clean slate after the fires and to be able to do things a little more pono for the longevity, the sustainability of our economy and our community focus. And so being able to accommodate programs for our kama'aina, for our keiki, programs like Junior Lifeguard and activities around the ocean. This is our church, this is our playground, it's our place of refuge, and it's open 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Across the Pai'aina, we feel it. So all the pule that you heard today evoked all those elements of life. Kane, lono, kanaloa, we had pele, laka. All of those elements to bring about life. We called on our ancestors to come and be with us, to help those Kanaka who are still wandering.
And more importantly, I think we do set the pace, and not just because of the situation in Lahaina, but let's take this back all the way to Uncle Eddie Aikau's days. Let's go back to the 76ers, right? Some of them are still here on this side with us. And in those pockets of learning, that's a rebuild. We're just continuing the extension of that ave, of that he'e. So we mahalo those that have come from before, but collectively, the rebuild is gonna require a whole lot of encouragement, a whole lot of rethink, redirect, reprocess, a whole lot of that maybe that was good back then, but let's take a look at it from this perspective.
The tragedy that struck our community is a chance for hope, a chance for not only Lahaina and Maui to rise, but for our state, our people, and for all of us. We must come together, bring solutions to the table, and work as one ohana. Maui strong, Hawaii strong.